one pair and one session. Now, the reason why this is so important to me is because if you can master one pair and master one session, it's easier to just rinse and repeat the same thing on other currency pairs. And so for me, I would recommend that you just get familiar with one pair, familiar with one session. And then as you start to, feel how it works and you start to repeat the process, it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And so right now I'm here on the charts. I'm on GBP USD. As you can see, I'm on GBP USD. And earlier in the previous lesson, I spoke about certain times that would be ideal to trade GBP USD from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. pretty much. So here's what we can do. Okay, so let's just focus on one pair, which is GBP USD, and let's focus on one session. Now I know that technically it's not the London session, it's actually pre-London, but I'm just using that term one session because we're only going to be focusing on specific time period. So let's say the time period, as I mentioned earlier, would be 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. So let's do that. So let's go to 1 a.m., draw a vertical line there, and let's go to 7 a.m. and draw a vertical line there. Did you notice that the movement increased at, look what time? 3 a.m. This is the time when London opens. And so we would be in a better position to catch this movement at 3 a.m. if we started pre-London. If we started pre-London, our charts would have already been plotted out, and coming up to the time when we're expecting to get heavier volume at 3 a.m., we would have already been in position to see how the market is moving, our support and resistance zones, and then when we'll be able to catch it at that opening time for London to do its thing. So I always recommend looking at pre-London because sometimes you get some good moves here as well too. So let's go again, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. and you'll notice that on average it's about 40 to 50 pip movements during this time. So let's say from about here to the highest point is about 50 pips, right? As you guys can see, about 50 or so pips. Let's move on. Let's continue to go. Let's look at 1 a.m. To 7 a.m. again here. So 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Here we go again. So we're up during this time. Again, we're not talking about any strategy or anything yet. We're just analyzing the time. Just focusing on one pair and one trading session, the London session. So we look again. Let's see if we got some movement here. So we got some movement here about 50 plus pips. Like I said, anywhere between 40 and 40 pips plus. That's kind of the volume you can see. Now remember, you're not going to see this on every single day, and the reason why I say that is because obviously some days are slower, but then you have sometimes when the market just opened on Sunday, then going into Monday morning you may not have that much movement. Certain things vary, but this is just on average, just to get you guys going, so that you can see, hey, it's better for me to just focus on this one thing for the time being, and then I'll be in a better position to rinse and repeat it after I'm comfortable. So let's move on over here to okay, so we go to 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. again. So let's see, 1 a.m. right here to 7 a.m. right here. Good. So this is another example, right? Not much movement. Well, in terms of pips, we may have about about 40 pips or so from the lowest point to the highest point. About 40 pip movement. Again, not too much traffic on this day for whatever reason, maybe fundamentals or so, but not too much traffic on this day. Let's move on. Let's go back let's go to 1 a.m. All right, so right here to 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Again, let's look at our movement. Highest to lowest point. I'm looking at about, again, 50 plus pips, 40 plus pips. Let's move on. Where we going to 1 a.m. over here. So from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. again, We keep going, keep going, keep going. So let's just say we were to end here. So we have about close to 40 pips. But if we were to go on 7, you know, it may, you know, go to 40, 50 plus pips. But again, we have a nice range, a nice average. Let's go again to 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. from the lowest point to the highest point. Yeah, we're looking at 40 plus pips again. Good. So why am I doing this? The reason why I'm doing this is because if you're just focusing on one session and you're just focusing on one pair, I want you to see that during the hours that I gave you on that little cheat sheet that I provided in the previous lessons, I want you to notice that there's movement in the market. Okay, you have volume in the market during these times. Now, I know over here at 9 a.m. or let's just say 8 a.m. Up until 11 a.m. or so, you're going to have movement because, again, the New York session is now open and we're trading GBP USD. But remember, I mentioned that we want to trade a certain currency pair when one session is closed versus when the other session is open to help us with our profits. So you'll see as we get further along in the course, you'll see that we're going to have a nice strategy behind all of this and how we can maximize the data that we have and then use a nice entry or find a way to enter the market real precisely so that we can profit heavily. But for now, I just want you to notice that the market moves significantly during these times. And you will notice that the hours before it, we don't really have much movement. The hours before it, we didn't really have much movement. The hours before it, we didn't really have much movement. So you can continue to do this with whatever pair you trade using that same cheat sheet that I gave you so that you can just look at one pair and one session for the time being. Now, let's take this a little bit further. What I want you to do now is I want you to just concentrate on what's in between these vertical lines, which is the time frames that we'll be trading in. What you'll start to notice is that normally you would have a trend. Okay, you would have like a small little trend. I'm on the 1 hour time frame, and so you'll notice that you have these small little trends that's happening, right? So up here you notice that you have like a little tiny little trend that's happening. And then as you go over here, you notice you have a nice little small little trend that's happening as well too. Over here you notice that, well, even here you can, you know, count this as a little small little trend. Up here is a small little trend. It's very rare that you will notice a range. Very, very rare. So maybe for example here, you have, you know, a little range and you may get spiked out in this situation here because there's not much volume. So this may be one of those times where we have a losing trade. If you come here again, you'll notice you have a nice little push, right? Nice little range. You come over here, you'll notice that you have a nice little push, a nice little range right over here. Again, we're on the 1 hour time frame, so on a smaller time frame, it's going to be, you know, even better. But I just, again, want to focus your attention just to certain hours, just to certain hours. And I want you to play with this on whichever pair you trade using the sheet that I gave you to find the right times to trade certain currencies. And the reason why, again, why I really want you to start to play with this is because I only want you, just for now, you could go on your demo account and do it. Just for now, I just want you to focus on one pair and one session. In the next video, I'm going to show you why this is so important. Because the big dogs that's in the market, they always have a destination that they're trying to reach. And so using this information along with the other information that I'm going to present to you in the next lesson is going to help you to see how everything now makes sense and why it's best to just focus on one pair and one session for the time being until we can master it and move on to even more trades. So I'll see you guys